applicant is the State of Hawaii Department of Transportation, and the application is for a shoreline setback variance, file number 2011 SV-9, to allow portions of a temporary bypass road which would be constructed during the replacement of 2 timber bridges with new concrete bridges to encroach into the shoreline setback area. I want to emphasize that only the portions of the bypass road are in the shoreline setback area, so the application only covers those portions of the bypass road, and that is the subject of today's public hearing.
The State of Hawaii Department of Transportation proposes to allow 4,079 square feet of a temporary bypass road which will be constructed for the bridge replacement project within the 40-foot shoreline setback. The temporary bypass road will be constructed to route traffic around the work area between the north and south bridge approaches on Farrington Highway. The bypass road will accommodate a tie-in or a connector with Keeley Drive. The portion of Keeley Drive affected will be approximately 150 feet from its intersection from Farrington Highway.
Project cost in total is approximately 15 to 16 million. 80% of the funding will come from the Federal Highway Administration and 20% from the state of Hawaii. The existing conditions at the site, as shown in this area, showing the flood boundary. Again, this is bridge number 3A, this is bridge number 3. Tom would be in this direction. This is the boundary of the 100-year flood as it presently exists. Just to point out a few things, what this means is that all of these areas of the highway are subject to being overtopped by any 100-year flood event that may occur. In addition, a number of these residences on this side are subject to flooding. The plan for this project is to improve the hydraulic performance of flow beneath the bridges, so that instead of having a condition as shown in pink would appear more like this current situation, such that the boundaries of the, perhaps if I hold it this way, might be a little better way to see the differences. Thanks. So you can see a fairly dramatic reduction coming from this side. Not as much of an area would be subject to the 100-year flow. Similarly, an area inside here would begin to open up. The boundaries here would also be reduced. But more importantly, all of the sections of the highway as well as the bridges will not be subject to overflow by a 100-year flood.
So by building the bridge, are you saying you're reducing the 100-year flood area from the red to the blue? Is that what we're comparing here?
Yes, that is precisely what this is showing.
And is that supported by hydraulic study?
I'll have the civil engineer respond to that.
Okay.
Yeah, we did a hydraulic study. We analyzed the flows coming down from this area, and the 2 proposed replacement bridges were designed to cast the design 100-year flood.
Is that hydraulic study available for public viewing?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
And in regards to the bridge on 3A, I'm concerned if it gets pulled to sea or fails, that all the residents on the Kaina side are going to be stranded until such time that another bridge is put in place. But I have to make all these assumptions based on this design here that I've heard nothing about. And this is extremely risky, and now I'm hearing that possibly 2 of these will be used at the same time in order to shorten this from 24 months to 18 months or 16. So it doubles the chance of ocean surge and or flooding from the mountain of taking these fairly fragile bridges from standpoint of how long they're intended to last. I know from an Army standpoint, when it's put in place, it's not intended to stay there for very long. And usually, and definitely not 16 months.
It impacts our property. The bypass road will be encroaching a little, and they will be having to rent a portion of it. My concerns are the safety of my family. Now, this is a problem because this is going to be going on for almost 2 years. And there are so many things that have not been detailed that concerns me in regards to the safety of my family. I'm sorry, but a chain link fence will not stop a speeding car. And if it crashes into my property and, were to take a family member away from me or an animal away from me, I would be devastated. Also, EIS study, there are modifications that need to be done. It's absolutely ridiculous that we have not had, proper studies. DLNR, OCCL, they have to follow the guidelines that are set by law, and the pictures can speak for themselves. You cannot predict Mother Nature. She shall flow where she shall flow, and our land, our beach, our wildlife, my family, the residents, lifeguards, beachgoers, tourists, their lives are at jeopardy when you're not answering full questions or having, such danger in our backyard, so to speak. So I would just like everybody to take a minute to look at, Benny, he comes up on our beach frequently. And, I would also like to add that mothers actually are pupping on our beach, and they are declining at a 4% ratio. So, we have to protect them if they're coming up on our beaches, and when the mothers nurse, they nurse up to a little over a month, which in time, they don't go back in the water. They actually stay around and they fast. They don't have to go back in the water to feed. So I just want to share some of that information that we should be protecting our wildlife. We should be protecting our beach and our community, the residents. And I would love to save my home. I don't want to, lose my home to unfortunate situations that have not been detailed in such pictures. So I would just like to say thank you for your time, and I would encourage everybody to please look closely at these pictures so you can get a better idea of what you're looking at instead of a black and white paper, because this is live footage, and I have CDs if you guys would like to observe the footage, just for the safety.
This is where the bypass.
This is where the bypass road will be. So, you can see this is at a lower level of the water, okay? So when the high surf meets a flood, this is completely water. That's why it's so green. Normally it's brown, when it's dry. That's why it's so green, because the water had come up. There's actually, this is the bus stop right here. The water was all the way up here, and I have a close-up of it right here. So, you guys can get a better idea of how far the water actually does go. And, the land there does change. It's sand-based. So you cannot guarantee me that something's not going to take it out, if we were to get high surf and a flood. I'm sorry, but Mother Nature, like I said, she will do as she pleases. And I would like to, address the situation with the wildlife, because they are protected and we need to protect them. We shouldn't be encroaching on them. They were here long before we were. Hawaiian monk seals, they have it recorded over 15 million years ago. So I think we owe them some respect. Thank you, and you guys can take a look at this.
A proper EIS was not done. The criteria for an EIS is triggered by many points in conjunction with this project, and you only need one of the criteria to be met for the demand of an EIS. There are 13 points, and you are required by law to only meet one. Number 5 criteria. Substantially affects public health. The design of the bypass bridge will wash out with first heavy flooding. There is no contingency plan for emergency entrance and exit for the Kaena side of the project, which includes the 93-unit MAKAHA Shores condominium, numerous homes in the Macau Street and Holt Street area, and the Kaena Point satellite tracking station. There will be no access to MAKAHA Beach. Farrington Highway is a dead end. There is no passage around Kaena Point.